Hey, what's up, guys and girls? So today's day 28. I called it the way out. Day 28 of my project 100. My way to my first 100k with just trading, and I want to document my journey and show you guys some interesting perspectives. Show you how I'm changing of my thought patterns, how I think, how I behave, and maybe after all, it could help you achieve trading success as well. It's a lot of trial and error, but it's also cool to see, so I can show you guys the errors that I done, so maybe you can avoid them, because maybe in the moment I thought they were important, and maybe you will think the same, but showing it to you retroactively what my thought pattern switch was, it can perhaps help you in your situation. So today's day is called the way out of a specific thing, which I can tell you guys in a second. But to give you a little bit of a context, more or less the last week or so have been a little bit more tough for me, I'd say. A little bit more uncertain times, a little bit more vagueness in my approach to the markets, vagueness approach to my strategy and to myself as well. So doubting a lot of things. I think these are very prevalent thoughts coming up. So basically doubt and second guessing a lot of things, or second guessing, yeah. More importantly, maybe I would say in a neutral form, questioning. So questioning my approach, questioning myself, questioning the things I do on a day-to-day basis. And the trigger for that being is my frustrated state. My frustrated state manifests itself by waking up in the mornings, feeling super motivated to do the things that have to be done, doing the things that I think are very important, and finishing up the day and thinking, I didn't earn my shower. That day feels shitty. Not wanting to go to sleep because I feel like I missed out something. I didn't really do the most important thing that moved the mountains. So there's two ways to interpret that. The one way is to think this is just the price of doing business. Just continue what you're doing okay. Or interpreting the emotions as maybe a trigger of maybe I have to change up something so I don't feel shitty anymore. So the deeper I went into this, the more I realized that frustration and a depressive state usually means your connection to your feedback loop is a little bit disturbed. So I don't know if you guys know it for yourself. Just pick whatever you find some enjoyment in, and you will always realize if there is a feedback loop, if you feel like you have a sense of improvement, you have the sense of purpose, you have the sense of I'm in the right place, I can do that, and you get motivated and get all the emotional benefits from that, in the sense of you feel good, you feel like you're progressing, you're making improvements, and so on and so on. So just a simple example for that, playing table tennis, if you play with somebody, super easy, destroying it, you will feel like, cool, I'm the best, but it doesn't really make fun for me. And if you're playing against a world champion, all of a sudden he destroys you, that's super frustrating by itself. You think like, I cannot do anything, let me just not play with that. But when you're right on the edge with somebody that is maybe slightly better than you or maybe slightly worse than you, you feel like there is some type of competition. You can measure yourself. You can come up to the standard of the person in front of you, so you can beat them if he's better than you. And if he's worse than you, you can hold your standard up and challenge it to the lower standard of the person and still say and claim, I'm better than him, but he's still good. So this is important. So for feedback or for sense of improvement, for sense of having fun or being in the zone, you need the sense of feedback. And one thing you shouldn't do to be in that state is to cut your feedback loop. So as a link, frustration and depressive states usually come in an endeavor from messing with your feedback loop. This is essentially the key nugget that I got out of this. And the initial trigger for the frustration was not immediately the recognition. This was the response, what I should do, or what is the solution, not cut my feedback loop. But the initial frustration came from a factual perspective, which is not profitable trading. if you guys remember my Instagram post that I made a couple of weeks ago or a couple of days ago, I was telling you guys I'm making progress. I'm slightly backtesting or break even or profitable. And all of a sudden, the weeks after that following, I got negative. I lost money, and I looked at the trades overall the last 2 to 3 weeks. 50 trades, 25%, 25 break even, 19 losses, and only 6 winners. Yeah, so 24% win rate. For the people that know a little bit about trading, it's pretty shitty. A strike rate of 50% should be the aim, at least for the majority of strategies. And if you're a beginner, the better the win rate, the better the psychological edge you will have, just because you feel like you have an edge. And if you have like a low win rate but high risk reward, which might still be profitable, you might think, I'm not making any progress here, although you actually are. And it's just, you have to wait 3 losers until you get your first winner, which is going to outsize the losers and some. But this is psychologically a little bit of a challenge in trading. So yeah, after that streak, after that situation, and with a not very high risk reward ratio, like 2.5, we're still slightly loss, or maybe a little bit of loss. And there is a reasonable ability to doubt your strategy, doubt your approach to trading with this amount of win rate. At first order from this, I reduced my risk to 0.2%. Risk, this is, I think, important, because in periods where you are doubtful, second guessing, questioning everything, you tend to do a little bit of a weird thing, which is violating rules, which I realize I'm doing. Just because you're testing out different things. And when I realized that, I essentially cut down my risk heavily to protect my capital, and I went to backtesting, trying out different things. But what happens in there, you cut your feedback loop. You are in a process where you continuously put in volume for a specific strategy, get an outcome, depend on what the outcome is, irrelevant for the sake of the idea. But what you try to achieve is getting the volume with the feedback, so you improve. You look at what doesn't work, you look at what works, you do less of what doesn't, and you do more of what does, and this is how you improve. Going into backtesting, going into trading, and just trying out different things, watching courses, which I did, which were good, but that didn't really hit the spot. I should use them supplementary, not, this strategy doesn't work, let me try out something else. This is actually one of the stages of the trader development, which is system hopping or strategy hopping, where you feel frustrated that you don't get the results, and all of a sudden you try out different things because you try to find the holy grail of success, the holy grail of strategies. And this reminded me of myself a couple of months before, where I tried to trade the strategy of Pocky, for the people that remember that. He was making millions with that. He was a great trader with this. And I did this with this thinking, okay, I just have to do the same thing and I will get the same results. I didn't get the same results. I was negative, and I was like, well, maybe he's a scam. Let me have my own strategy, of which I currently am in the endeavor, which I still think is a good idea to change the strategy, because his strategy was way too complex, way too many time frames, way too many variables that I have to keep track. And starting off simple as a beginner is, I think, better than having a complex strategy and developing yourself on it, because you're frustrated because you don't see any improvements. It's hard to build a feedback loop on things that you don't understand, rather than just starting with things that you understand and building feedback loop on those. But the constant here is to not try out different things, trying to find the one thing, the one fit solution, but rather sticking in the shitty period, being okay with not making best results, maybe reducing risk, and then just staying inside deep the feedback loop with a high amount of volume. So getting in a lot of trades, tracking them, journaling them all, and then reviewing them, reviewing the winners, reviewing the losers, and improving on those. And that was essentially the outcome of how I came up on what to do. And this will not only solve the issue with the results eventually, but it will also solve the issue with having the feeling that I'm not making progress, because making progress as a simple equation comes from doing something a lot of times and looking how to make it better and how to make it, on how to do less bad and more good. So yeah, I was doing a lot of research. I was looking up a lot of free material, reading articles, trying to find for the answer, the one holy grail answer, which obviously you don't find. The answer comes from who you are as a trader, because there's so many strategies. So many strategies are profitable. Pockiest, for instance, or my strategy in the books is profitable. But I'm not profitable for one reason, which is I cut my feedback loop, which I was proceeding on receiving feedback and improving my strategy. So what I came up with as a reasonable action plan was to stick with this strategy until 2025 end. So those are an additional almost 3 full months, even more, of just using one strategy. I've been using this since 1 month. I've been successful with it since I became from loser to break even, which is step number one. It's a good step. But now it's to find the step how to get it from break even to profitable. And this doesn't happen by trying out different things, implementing different things, including indicators, but sticking to the basics as simple as possible, and then looking at patterns of the things that work and the things that don't work in the environment you're currently in. So not adding different complexity into it, but keeping the complexity level safe, and split testing the simple variables so you can see which things work better under which circumstances. Very easy to track with journaling tools, very easy to check when you review your trades. So this is essentially where the habit of succeeding will come from. Not from jumping around, but from doing the same thing over and over again. It's the discipline that builds success, especially in trading. At least this is what everybody says. There is no one fit all solution. But yeah, this is essentially it. This is I came up with, since I came up with this idea, or with this thought experiment and frame, pressure released a little bit this day already, since this was realization, felt more productive. So I'm gonna keep doing that. I'm gonna do that even more. Stick to my strategy, review it, trade it more, journal it more, review it more, and just keep on doing what I'm doing. Just the boring work, not going over to shiny objects and seeing what I could do else. But yeah, sticking with that. And essentially this is also what the coaching and mentorship from Karush will be if I decide to join in. But the more the time passes, the more it's a decision that I have to make, because it sounds like the optimal state to be in to do that. So yeah, I'm gonna keep you guys updated of the things that will develop. But yeah, these were some ideas that came up to me. Hope you guys learned something from that. Hope the future traders can look into this and can resonate with this. And other than that, I wish you guys a nice evening wherever you are, whenever you watch the video. I wish you a good day, and cheers.